IMEXHS, as the HS on the end, the actual full name in Colombia is Imaging Experts in Healthcare Services, SAS. You can't get IMEXHS as a URL, so it's IMEXHS. That's how it came about. So what is IMEXHS? It's a medical imaging provider to the RIS-PACS market, which is the Radiology Imaging Solution and Picture Archiving and Communications market. We're competitive because we've been designed from the ground up to meet end-to-end imaging practice needs with leading-edge tools at a highly competitive price. And our aim is to grow into new geographic markets with the US and Australia important targets. The company was founded in 2012 by 2 neuroradiologists and 2 engineers. And the company has grown initially with a low-risk strategy through local distributors, which has seen it expand across Central and South America. In 2018, the company achieved its ASX listing following a reverse takeover, and we hit $6 million in total revenues for that year. In the year since listing, the company has achieved its FDA clearance into the US and launched its first AI product and secured its first commercial customer in Australia. And most recently, the last quarter saw it achieve its highest quarterly revenues of just over 2.8 million. This shows the extent of the geographic coverage that we now enjoy. We're in 15 countries with 22 distributors. Oh, I'm very sorry. This is the geographic expansion that we've undertaken since 2012, as I said, into Australia most recently. Heroku is now used in more than 270 centres by 227 customers. And this means it's being used by over 600 radiologists at over 87 hospitals and 150 clinics, connected to over 33,000 devices. This means that Heroku is now used for in excess of 5 million studies per annum. At the heart of the Heroku platform, we provide the RIS-PACS solution. But Heroku does more than that. It can handle the end-to-end workflow for a radiology practice. At the beginning, we can order the patient scan. We can book the patient in with a radiographer, send the image to a radiologist for interpretation, send the image to for a second opinion if needed. We can provide the image back to the initial referring doctor through a patient portal, and we can even handle the billing process. The platform also includes the ability to create dashboards and provide statistical data, which our customers have used to greatly increase the efficiency of their businesses. I know that there's a lot of information on this next slide, for sure, but there's a lot our system can do. At the core, it's been built using the latest international medical informatics standards, including HIPAA compliance. We offer a vendor-neutral archive, meaning we can store images from anybody, and the system is modular, meaning we can fit it in with other systems that are already in place. And key to our success is the fact that Heroku is truly zero footprint, meaning you can work from anywhere, you have a browser, and it provides genuine teleradiology capabilities. And this provides significant savings to our customers. Our Heroku portfolio now includes a radiology module, Aquila, a pathology module, Alula, and a cardiology module, Anteros, all centred on our vendor-neutral archive. There are 4 global megatrends at the moment, and these are centred around AI and machine learning, the digitisation of healthcare, client marketplaces, and cloud computing and storage, and IMEXHS is at the centre of these. Our software has won numerous awards. Most recently, we won first place at Andicom, which recognised our work on digital transformation and companies. And at the moment, we're a semi-finalist in the Minis for Best New Radiology Vendor following our FDA clearance last quarter. For those who aren't aware, Aunt Minnie is the largest and most respected web community in the world for radiologists. We've got quite a number of success stories that I can talk to, but I'd like to point out just a few of these, such as Clínica Las Américas. Clínica Las Américas is one of the top 20 most prestigious hospitals in Latin America, and it was a very large hospital that we won a few years ago. The reason that they were looking for a new vendor at the time, because the incumbent couldn't handle the tomosynthesis modality which they needed, and we were able to support that. And not only were we able to support that without requiring a large upfront payment, which is the traditional model, but we were able to come in at a price lower than that they were previously paying. And Clínica Las Américas has been so happy with us. They've actually partnered with us to produce the pathology and cardiology modules. Another one that I'd like to mention is Colsubsidio. Colsubsidio is a household name in Colombia. It's probably akin to Medibank here. And that gave us a lot of recognition in the marketplace. It was considered a very prestigious contract win for us. And in fact, subsequent to that, we've entered into another contract with Colsubsidio, which involves running their 19 radiology clinics. And the advantage that provides to us is we have a real-world example where we can look to develop our AI tools and expand the efficiency of a practice that we're in. CAFAM is another company like Colsubsidio that's very prestigious in South America. Clínica San Pablo is a very big hospital business in Peru. Two of the hospitals have over 1,000 beds each. Not a hospital per se. AG Mednet is a company based in Boston in the US, and it's one of the largest clinical trial companies in the world. And they came to us looking to use the Heroku web viewer as part of their trials. And for us, it was a very big validation for the company by such a respected enterprise. The business model that we run, we have our revenue models are based on the SaaS, PaaS, and one-off sales. PaaS is software as a service, which typically 3 to 5 or 7 year contracts. Platform as a service includes hardware. It can include just the DICOM routers which are needed to transfer the images, or it can include the modalities such as MRIs and CT scanners. We also have one-off sales. Our preferred model is recurring revenue, but we do have a significant number of one-off sales, and they actually occur in the last quarter of the year as companies look to spend budget that they have available. Our target geography has been LATAM, and now with FDA approval and our first client in Australia, we're looking to move in here. And we're looking at Europe as well, which has been more a lead for us. So part of going to Europe will need CE clearance in that market. Our target markets are private and public hospitals and also private practices. Our first vertical has been in radiology, but we've expanded into anatomical pathology and also cardiology. One of our distributors in Central America also does a lot of X-ray imaging airport, and they're looking at whether we would partner with them as well in security body scanning. Another ology that we're looking at as well is gastroenterology. Our distribution model has been essentially through local distributors who have the knowledge and contacts in the markets. And we also have some specialist distributors. This is the company growth over since inception, basically. Total contract value is a measure of the future value of the contracts that we're entitled to receive over the remaining life of the contract. And the annualised recurring revenue is basically what we're locked in and we expect to receive in the next 12 months. This has grown 119% year on year from last year to now. The small runoff in the last quarter is largely due to the large coal subsidio contract, which actually is only 1 year in duration. Therefore, we only book in 12 months of revenue. 1 quarter goes by, a quarter of the contract value is run off. But as you can see in annualised recurring revenue, which is actually up 187% over the previous 12 months, you can see that there's just a small drop there, which is actually an exchange rate variation. So that's why it's just dropped a little bit. Basically, the business is continuing to grow, and we aim to keep growing. Looking at our pipeline, this is only Latin America. This doesn't include any for Australia and the US yet. We have total contract value of $110 million in the pipeline, which is weighted down to $46.5 million. The weighting is just basically where it is in the business cycle, and so therefore the likelihood of winning. The market opportunity, as we see it, the RIS-PACS market is growing at 7.4% and is expected to reach $5 billion in 10 years. We see our next market opportunity as being the US, where we can now expand with the FDA clearance. Australia, where, as I had mentioned, we've got our first local customer, and Brazil, where our recent entry sees us with a very strong local distributor. And as I mentioned, Spain is a possibility for us based on some local connections. But we need CE clearance there. So in summary, we're looking to expand with the 4 target geographies that we have. We have an increased proportion through the value chain, through AI, such as the tools we mentioned, that we can capture more of the value of the scans being done. We think we can increase the proportion of the value chain through diagnosis and interpretation. We've been working on product awareness. As I mentioned, AG Med is a worldwide clinical trial partner, which gives us a lot of visibility into the academic space. And also we work with teaching hospitals, which will mean that the next generation of radiologists will be very familiar with our product. We have a land and expand strategy, which is typically we sell on the radiology, but then we're looking to also add pathology and cardiology to hospitals, etc., that we're already in. And we're developing a low-touch deployment model for the small clinics who currently can't afford software like this. It's probably easiest to think of it as being the zero of a RIS-PACS solution. No one else offers it, and currently, as I said, it's unaffordable. It would be a cloud-based, purely cloud-based solution like Xero, where you go on and you'll get a fairly standard installation that you'll be able to work with in your radiology practice. I hope I haven't rushed too quickly. I can
we can ask questions and we can interrogate you as well.
Sure.
So that's going to be good.
Yeah, that'll be great.
The one thing I'll ask at you, Tony, is that you mentioned the word zero as though we're all accountants.
Yeah.
Is everyone comfortable with his reference to zero? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, you are, but you look like you're comfortable with accountants. Not there's anything wrong with that, by the way. All right, so are there any questions for Tony? Klaus?
Are the RIS vendors your friends or enemies?
Did you guys hear that question in the back? Do you have a mic? So, question in the back.
Are the RIS vendors their friend or enemy?
Yeah, RIS vendors, are they a friend or enemy?
Well, we're looking to replace them. We are zero footprint. It is a low-cost model compared to our competitors. As I mentioned, we've been good at displacing AGFA in particular. As I said, AGFA doesn't handle tomosynthesis. Tomosynthesis is a breast modality and quite advanced and new. So at the time, they weren't supporting it, and so we looked to displace them, and we've had success in displacing other distributors from other vendors. Our distributor model in South America they're exclusive to us, so if a distributor signs with us, they have to displace their current competitor offering.
Okay, you've got 2 mics now, so you've got a question over here.
Are we on? Yep.
Yeah.
Given that you're expanding into the US, what's your strategy with respect to existing radiology providers like Carestream and GE? Are you looking to work with them, or I know they have some product offering in the digitised space already, but I'm not sure if it's end-to-end.
They're not end-to-end. They are only in the RIS pack space, which we will also, if a large hospital already has their entrenched enterprise billing systems, we will just plug into that. We don't come just as a end-to-end suite. We will just do the RIS packs. So Carestream is a competitor of ours.
Okay. Are there any other questions? In the back there?
Can you tell us who the customer is in Australia?
Countrywide Medical Ultrasound, which is a mobile clinic in the Hunter Valley in New South Wales. They have a unique proposition. They actually have centres all around the Hunter Valley, and the difficulty that they had was that they used to basically put images onto USB, and then when the van ended up getting back to the practice, the radiologist could look at it, then there was quite a delay. What we're able to achieve is through the 4G network is sending the images straight away to the solution. It's presented to the radiologist almost straight away. The other thing that we've been able to do at CMU, or Countrywide, is replace 4 systems with 1. And so they're seeing significant efficiency benefits out of the installation.
Where's head office?
The corporate head office is Sydney, in Mascot, and the main trading office where most of the employees are is in Bogota in Colombia, and we also do have a development site in Medellin in Colombia.
So where do you hang out?
I work in Mascot. And
you don't look like a Bogota guy to me.
No. Bogota is a lovely place, actually. I recommend it, but yes, no, I'm Sydney-based.
Okay, rightio. And what's it like trying to integrate, the practices of Colombians to Australians? Like, for example, are they responsible for sales, or do you have a specific Australian sales force?
So at the moment, because we've only just gone in with a soft launch into Australia, we haven't we haven't got a sales presence.
Yeah.
So after we wanted to bed down the Australian site, actually the hardest thing about entering the Australian market with the system was to do with the fact that most other countries and certainly Latin American countries have a national ID number that form the central core of the database in terms of identifying people, and Australia doesn't have a national ID number, and you're not allowed to use tax file numbers or anything like that as an ID. So the system actually had to be re-architected around that. That was actually the biggest technological challenge of coming into Australia.
Right. And so now that you've got a local company, is that company going to be happy about you, advertising to other operations that they're actually using your system?
Yes, they're happy to be a reference site for us.
Yeah, and they're providing testimonials?
Yes.
Okay. And how long before you've actually got a sales force on the ground and really ripping into all the potential customers out there?
Well, we are doing a capital raise at the moment, So I
so
get-
you're in a trading halt,
I
are
get to
you?
come here just during the middle of a trading halt
Yeah.
to raise some capital to accelerate our expansion into those target geographies that I'd mentioned.
Okay. I know you probably can't necessarily tell us anything else, but are you planning on a really expensive holiday this year?
Yeah,
You are.
to
Yes.
Bogota.
To Bogota. To Bogota. Okay. Are there any other questions you'd like to ask him? Otherwise, I'll just keep grilling him until we get to the right time. Right, Fiona? You say, I've got to keep going. Yeah, there's questions here.
How does your solution compare
You get on there, Pete. Yeah.
How does your solution compare with some of the other vendors? Like, would Promedics be a competitor?
Yes, Promedics is a competitor in the RIS-PAC space. They offer very high-end tools. It's a very good offering, but it is aimed at the very, very high end of the market. The tools that they have that we don't offer through the web because HTML5 doesn't support it yet, we actually integrate with a couple of other specialist providers of those tools. So if a teaching hospital, for example, needs those tools, we will integrate in.
And Max 7?
Max 7's really only a PAC solution. They're not really a RIS solution, so they're not. They're a bit of a more narrowing offering than us, but they're doing quite well as well.
Is there anyone else you know of here?
In Australia, Volpara again. Oh, well, they're New Zealand, but they're listed here. Volpara is another competitor, but they actually are more focused in the mammography sphere, and they've gone quite deep into that as a specific strategy. We're a bit more covering everything.
Any other questions? Well, Tony, I can't put a lie detector on you here, but I'd like to.
You can try.
Okay. If you had to really explain what is so significantly better about your product compared to your rivals, what is that? And is it going to be easy to explain that to potential customer base? And secondly, will it be easy to market that story to that customer base?
Well, being an accountant, I can tell you that it's cheaper,
Well, that's
and
a good
therefore it's important to everyone, hospital administrators and accountants alike.
Yeah.
Because it is fully web delivered, the implementation and ownership, total cost of ownership of the solution is a lot cheaper than our competitors.
Yeah.
They also don't necessarily offer the full practice suite, and we can roll it out quite quickly. And I did hear a radiologist say that they wish this had been around, being web enabled, because you can even look at it on your iPad or your iPhone, because they get rung at 2 o'clock in the morning with a is this a blood bleed on the brain?
Yeah.
Previously, they've just had to go into where the workstation is that's set up with the tools to actually be able to analyse it.
So they can, do it, they can do it at the party.
They can, yeah.
A lot of radiologists would like that, I'd say.
I don't. It's obviously better on a monitor, but they can give a no. There's a problem right now, and
Okay.
so yeah. So
Okay, that's great. All right, any other questions? Well, we've got the mic coming.
You're talking about accessibility from anywhere. I know from personal experience, because I know somebody owns a radiology business, that they have trouble attracting and keeping talent for analysis. And so would you say that's another big advantage in that you can geographically disperse your talent pool?
yeah, for sure. As I mentioned, CMU in the Hunter Valley, they are mobile and doing teleradiology. One of the difficulties that you have in Colombia and the Amazon jungle is the internet's not so fast. So it's been built from the ground up. We have proprietary method of compressing and sending the images across, so we can deal with very poor connectivity. But yes, we have in Colombia with the Coal Subsidio contract, we have teleradiology running right now. And as you said, you don't need a dedicated workstation that can cost $20,000 for a monitor alone.
You done a great job, Tony, but particularly for an accountant. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Tony Thomas.